Hello, today we're going to look at some ISIS recruiting data for ISIS in Syria. This is all synthetic data. However, it comes from a use case that I actually encountered at a previous position. Here in the top left, we have a relationship graph that has the address country of the recruiter's full name, and the facilitator's full name. The way this flows is that a recruiter recruits in a country, then once the recruit leaves his home country and flies to someplace in the Middle East, the facilitator facilitates getting them across the Syrian border. Most of these occur in between the border or on the border between Syria and Turkey. However, some do occur at other places like Iraq. As we can see here, these nodes are sized. The countries flags are sized by the number of recruits from that particular country. This is a facilitator and is sized by the number of recruits that facilitator has helped across the border. And of course, the blue nodes here are the actual recruiters who recruited in a particular country. As we can see here, all of our countries have their own different flags that is appropriate. Looking at this, other than places like the United States and Egypt and Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, it's China, it's difficult to pick out where some of these recruits are coming from. On the right here, we have a link chart that has actually the recruit's full name, foreign fighter full name, with the recruiter. And I'll show you why that is important here in a few minutes. Here we have a BI chart that lists number of recruits, lists countries, and this is the count of recruits recruited from each country. For these, it's pretty easy to select. This will drill down and you can see who the recruiter is for that particular country. Some countries have more than one, others just have one. In particular, this information is, like, as I said, it's easy to find a particular recruiter or a particular facilitator if they've recruited or facilitated a lot of people, or if a country has sent a lot of people over. This geo representation here are all the border crossings. Now this is real data, of course. Everything else in here is synthetic. We made it up. But the border crossing coordinates are actually came from open source off of the internet. But say if we wanted to find people that may have been recruited from Australia, in any of these, it's not real easy to find it. However, because we have this broken out by country, I can easily click on that, and now that is highlighted. That's actually Australia. If we zoom in there, we'll see that there's actually an Australian flag. Then we can then broadcast that. Let's do a display selection, and there we have Australia shows up. If we go in here, Australia has one recruiter, and that's Harry King. We also see on the geo right here that's where this particular recruit, which was Julie Weaver, as we see in this chart in the upper right, actually crossed at this particular border crossing, and she's the only one who crossed at that particular border crossing. That's just to show you how this data is set up. I can clear all of these selections, and we can look at more data here. We can use the BI charts. Let's I'm going to clear the selection. Let's just clear all our visualizations. So we can get back to our regular data. Another way of going about this is to be able to, let's just refresh the data here so we can get a full, fresh data set. Another way of going about this is that if we wanted to have a pre-built filter, and I can apply the filter to any of my visualizations, but I'll pick this one. Let's pick the filter. If I filter this data, which is Australian data, and apply that, we get the same result. I can then broadcast this to my other visualizations and have the same result. I'll go back and remove this filter, just showing you different ways to get down to the data that you're looking for. Now if we get this arranged here, if I go here and look at some of my other countries, like I said, we can look at Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or Egypt. I can also narrow this down where I can get a better view of what I'm looking at with my BI charts. And there we go. So now I can pick one of these other countries and pick Egypt. Egypt actually has 2 recruiters. Let's just go back and select Egypt. Hold down Shift and click on that and select Egypt. And I'm going to put this back in my tile mode. I want to broadcast this. The first thing we can do, we can also just add selection and highlight those particular recruiters and facilitators in Egypt. And we can see here that this cluster, these clusters here are also highlighted. These are the border crossings that were used by people that were recruited in Egypt. We could also, instead of highlighting those, we can do as we did before in display selection and cut out all the other information. And now we're down to just the individuals we're interested in. Facilitator. This is our recruit. This is one of our recruiters. This is our other recruiter here. And if we do this, we can see that there's one other facilitator here as well. So it's just another way to drill down into the data, and we'll see that this person right here is a recruiter and actually recruited a lot of people. These are the individuals that were recruited. The recruits are the yellow nodes here. And as I said here, these are the border crossings where they actually crossed. I'm going to refresh all my data sources again. It's easier just to refresh for me than to go and deselect and clear all the visualizations. If you refresh, you just get a refresh of the data. Since this is file-based, it gets the same data if this were an enterprise data source such as an Oracle database or a Microsoft SQL Server or a REST service. Then it would actually go out and get the brand new data as well. So on this particular visualization, I've also you can do this on any of your link charts, but I have already created a pattern. So I'm going to do a little pattern searching on here, and I'm going to search for any foreign fighter that has dealt with 2 or more recruiters, which means that they made multiple trips over. And we see here we quickly found several. I don't know exactly how many, but if we highlight all of them, then we can see where they fall out. Of course, they fall out in the most interesting parts of the graph here. Now we can also go and just choose individual ones to take a look at their, which recruiters they dealt with. And as before, we can broadcast this to our other visualizations like so. So I can actually go back into my patterns here, and let's highlight them. Let's select them actually. And I can broadcast this over to my other visualizations once again. And so this narrows it down from our larger chart here to see, which individuals, or this particular individual, where he was recruited from, where he's traveled to, that sort of thing. So anyway, these are just different ways to visualize and drill down into your data. I hope this helps, and feel free to get back with me for any other